This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
It's the Noon Report from Family Life, bringing a Christian worldview to what's happening in New York, Pennsylvania, across the country, and around the world. Weather with Kevin Williams, and faith-focused feature stories with the Family Life News team. Now, here's what's happening.
Social media on trial. Good afternoon. Welcome to the broadcast. A landmark case in Los Angeles this week could lead to fundamental changes in how social media operates.
If social media companies are in fact found liable on this case, we may see a profound change in the way social media companies do business.
Meta and Google accused of creating content that acts like digital cocaine. Experts argue endless scrolling features create dopamine hits that can lead to addictive behavior. Legal expert Thane Rosenbaum.
This is the first of hundreds of cases against social media companies that will follow. The legal theories are the same. Social media is like big tobacco with algorithms working like nicotine.
This case marks the first time big tech has ever faced a jury trial over allegations their social media platforms are harmful to children. Leaders from top immigration enforcement agencies are testifying under oath today on Capitol Hill. This as a funding fight over ICE operations threatens another partial government shutdown on Friday. Democrats are demanding reforms to how ICE operates. The head of that agency is testifying before the House Homeland Security Committee. Todd Lyons facing tough questions today about last month's fatal ICE-involved shootings in Minneapolis. Still no break in the Nancy Guthrie missing person case. The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was taken from her home in Arizona 10 days ago. Reporter Kristen Goodwin.
Savannah Guthrie taking to Instagram Monday to thank folks for the prayers and the love as the search for Nancy Guthrie continues.
We believe our mom is still out there. We need your help.
Asking folks to reach out to law enforcement if they see or hear anything.
She was taken and we don't know where.
The 84-year-old was last seen at her home outside of Tucson on January 31st, while the FBI has confirmed it was taking a ransom letter seriously. Officials have yet to name any suspects.
Former FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino weighing in on this high-profile missing person case.
I think we have to consider everything outside the box, because whatever is inside the box is not really panning out right now.
Savannah Guthrie said on Instagram last night that her family is, quote, at an hour of desperation, and they're urging anyone anywhere to reach out if they've heard or seen anything suspicious. The FBI has put up special billboards now in Arizona, Texas, California, and New Mexico in their ongoing search for the missing 84-year-old. There's been another U.S. attack on a suspected drug boat along the coast of South America.
The U.S. military Southern Command announcing it blew up a vessel in the Eastern Pacific suspected of carrying drugs, killing 2 people and leaving 1 survivor.
Correspondent Lillian Ruth says the airstrike was carried out on a boat that was traveling along a known drug trafficking route. 2 congressmen who've clamored for weeks for the release of the Jeffrey Epstein files say they've uncovered incriminating evidence against at least 6 individuals after reviewing unredacted documents related to this case. Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie and California Democrat Ro Khanna spent 2 hours yesterday viewing the files connected to the late sex trafficker. The 2 did not name the men found in the files, but said one of them is a high-ranking foreign official. SpaceX is shifting its focus to prioritize building a self-growing city on the moon. Reporter Wendy Swanson.
Elon Musk shared a post on X over the weekend explaining that, quote, the overriding priority is securing the future of civilization and the moon is faster. The decision comes as the U.S. faces intense competition from China to return humans to the moon this decade. Despite the shift in focus, SpaceX still plans to start on Musk's goal of establishing a city on Mars and is reportedly targeting March 2027 for an uncrewed lunar landing. I'm Wendy Swanson.
At the Winter Olympics, Team USA guaranteed a medal today when the action resumes in mixed curling. The Americans will face Sweden for the gold medal. Elsewhere, the U.S. women's hockey team clashes with Canada in their fourth and final preliminary round game. The Stars and Stripes are 3-0 so far in Milan, Italy, outscoring their opponents 15-1. Still to come on the Noon Report, GOP running mate, snowmobiling safety tips, and the curling craze in Western New York.
Good afternoon. I'm Kevin Williams. For the first time in more than 2 weeks, most of the region will be breaking the freeze point this afternoon. I'll have forecast details in 10.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. Central New York is under a winter weather advisory today. What else is new? Onondaga, Madison, and Oneida counties could see up to a half foot of fresh fallen snow by Thursday. 3 children hospitalized yesterday in Cortland County after the school bus they were on veered off the road and into a ditch. It happened in the town of Truxton while the driver was trying to make a turn. Nearly a dozen students were on the bus at the time. New York police are warning snowmobilers to play it safe in the great outdoors after 3 fatal sledding accidents in just the past 2 weeks. The latest happened Sunday in Warsaw. A 17-year-old was killed after being ejected from his sled while riding with a friend on an unmarked trail. State Trooper James O'Callahan.
The 17-year-old operating the snowmobile went off the trail at some point, struck what seems to be a log pile covered in snow, struck that log pile, was ejected. We had the 16-year-old also hit the log pile, get ejected, and that the 16-year-old sled ultimately struck the 17-year-old.
The victim, identified as Stephen Gregoire of Varysburg, snowmobile safety expert Jeff Glassman, says nothing good happens when you ride on an unmarked trail.
There's stuff underneath the snow where you don't know. There could be logs, there could be, stumps, there could be, a pond or frozen, something like that.
Experts say this winter has been ideal for snowmobiling with colder than usual temperatures and a deeper than normal snowpack. Nassau County Executive and 2026 New York Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman has now chosen his running mate. It is the sheriff of Madison County, Todd Hood. Blakeman says he selected Hood as his lieutenant governor pick because of his dedication to public safety.
I've got a great candidate for lieutenant governor. The guy is terrific. He's a New York hero. Has a very strong record in law enforcement, comes from an important part of the state.
Blakeman is hoping to become the first Republican to win statewide office in New York since Governor Pataki was elected to a third term way back in 2002. We now know who will lead Republicans in the New York State Assembly. It's downstate Republican Ed Raw. He represents a district on Long Island and will be taking over for Will Barclay, who announced last week he's stepping down after 5 years as the top GOP lawmaker in the Assembly. Raw explaining to Spectrum News what the Republicans' top legislative priorities are.
We're going to continue working and pushing on affordability, on public safety, on the cost of energy, the things that our conference has been out in the forefront on.
Raw has been in the state assembly since 2010. Criminal justice reform is another key issue in Albany this year. Families of incarcerated New Yorkers gathered at the state capitol Monday. They're demanding reforms to fix what they call outdated sentencing laws. Activists argue there's a, quote, legacy of racism in state prisons. Almost 75% of the over 30,000 incarcerated individuals in New York right now are people of color. Governor Hochul hosting a meeting with law enforcement officials yesterday. They talked about her Local Cops, Local Crimes Act. It prevents local police from being deputized by ICE for federal immigration enforcement efforts.
There are counties in our state and localities that are diverting the resource from keeping their own communities safe to helping with that effort. And I just want to reshift the focus to make sure we're doing job number one, that We're not being deputized as federal ICE agents.
The Local Cops, Local Crimes Act also bans illegal immigrants from being held in local detention centers. A new report from Pennsylvania concludes that nearly 40% of the Commonwealth's bodies of water are polluted. There are more than 31,000 miles of lakes, rivers, creeks, and streams all across Pennsylvania. There's new legislation in New York to address the growing problem of chronic absenteeism at school. Family Life's Sarah Harnish has that report.
Senators Patricia Fahey and James Skoufis are introducing a trio of bills to establish a statewide attendance dashboard or data tool, as well as attendance review teams, and a pilot engagement and attendance program in certain school districts. The legislation would make the Commissioner of Education release data about absenteeism. 1 in 4 younger students and 1 in 3 high schoolers were chronically absent during the 2023-2024 school year. Sarah Harnish, Family Life News.
Thank you, Sarah. The Lehigh Valley Hospital in Dixon City, Pennsylvania, partially reopened today, almost a week after a massive fire forced the evacuation of nearly 80 patients. That fire started in the orthopedic wing of the hospital last Wednesday evening. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman is breaking with his party again by backing a Republican-led effort to require voter ID. The Pittsburgh area Democrat says he supports the SAVE Act, which requires voters show proof of citizenship to register to vote and valid ID in order to cast ballots at the polls. Pennsylvania Congressman Glenn Thompson says most Americans support voter ID.
Somewhere above 70% of Americans support these initiatives, really protecting the right of every American citizen to cast their vote and to avoid fraud that would cancel that vote.
Congressman Thompson speaking to Family Life News earlier today. A new proposal in Pennsylvania may bring digital vehicle registration to the Commonwealth. That story from Family Life's Brian Query.
The legislation introduced by State Representative Manuel Guzman would allow Pennsylvania drivers to store their vehicle registration card digitally rather than carry a paper copy. In a memo, Representative Guzman said the state should consider allowing digital registration cards because the world continues to digitize. PennDOT no longer provides drivers with paper copies of vehicle registration cards, leaving vehicle owners to print them on their own. The legislation would also protect a driver's privacy if a law enforcement officer has a phone in their possession and views information on it. Brian Query, Family Life News.
Thank you, Brian. The Rochester Red Wings AAA baseball team is once again offering a 50-degree guarantee to their fans. The GM says if the temperature does not reach 50 degrees on opening day at Innovative Field, then fans in attendance can use their ticket for any other home game in April or May during the 2026 season. The Red Wings play their first home game of 2026 on March 31st against the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Rail Riders. The Winter Olympics sparking local interest in the sport of curling. It is all the rage. Family Life's Dee Haley has more from our Buffalo newsroom.
The Buffalo Curling Club is set to host an open house on February 14th from noon until 4 p.m. as interest in the sport is increasing during the Winter Olympics. The event is at the club's dedicated indoor facility and will introduce new players to the game's mechanics involving teams sliding stones across the ice toward a target. The club is located in a renovated portion of the old Buffalo China facility on Buffalo China Road. The game can be played in doubles or in groups of 4 people. The upcoming open house is designed for beginners. Dee Haley, Family Life News.
All right, once you start with that curling, you just can't quit. Thank you, Dee. We've got more sports next. It's the 2-minute drill on the Family Life Noon Report.
Good afternoon, I'm Randy Snavely. Bob Corey and Corey have already gone where no American Olympic mixed pairs in curling have gone before. Corey Dropkin, the man, and Corey TC, the woman, first American curlers to medal in the Olympics. And the medal, well, that's to be decided. It's either going to be gold or silver. The pair knocked off the reigning Olympic champs and host nation Italy 9-8. They will face the brother and sister team from Sweden, who easily defeated the favored Great Britain team 9-3. For Corey Teesey, she becomes the first American woman ever to win an Olympic medal in curling. It's just a round-robin contest, but something's got to give as both Canada and the U.S. women's hockey teams are unbeaten. They're going to square off today in what will more than likely be a preview of the gold medal contest. On to the NBA. It was 65-64 at the half, but Portland had a huge third quarter, putting up 49 points. And that did end the 76ers, 135-118 the final. Tyrese Maxey had 30 points in the loss. Nick Claxton scored 28 points and grabbed 10 boards. He led the Nets over the Bulls, 123-113. Noah Clowney added 20 points for Brooklyn as they won their second straight. Elsewhere in the NBA, your winners were the Pistons, Jazz, Magic, Pelicans, T-Wolves, Thunder, and Warriors. In college basketball, number 1 Arizona no longer undefeated. The Kansas Jayhawks, ranked 9th, upset the Wildcats 82-78. And don't look now, but baseball is back. Pitchers and catchers are reporting to spring training sites all this week. That is a look at sports.
It'll be here before you know it. Thank you, Randy. And still to come on the Noon Report. ICE on the hot seat on Capitol Hill. Social media on trial in L.A. And a closer look at the Royal Rangers changing lives in Batavia, New York.
Welcome to Breakpoint, a daily look at an ever-changing culture through the lens of unchanging truth. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet. This past weekend, a pair of events drew global audiences. The opening ceremonies of the 2026 Winter Olympics and Super Bowl 60 in San Francisco are just the most recent installments of events that have become contemporary cultural flashpoints and which feature the clash of worldviews. This year, Grammy Award winner Mariah Carey performed the Italian classic Volare, which evoked much online discussion about whether or not she was actually singing. And with that as the biggest controversy, parents could breathe a sigh of relief and say to themselves, well, at least it wasn't Paris. All of which is a good lesson for future host nations. Just avoid overt desecration of things that much of the world considers to be holy. Instead, as the iconic Olympic rings came together in the arena, NBC announcers noted how these games focused on harmony between seemingly dueling ideals, symbolizing an emerging global unity. Now, across the globe, Seattle fans were quite happy, but really the pre- and post-game buzz surrounding the Super Bowl was about the dueling halftime shows, not the game. The NFL's official halftime show was headlined by Bad Bunny. An alternative show produced by Turning Point USA was described as entertainment without parents having to worry about shielding their children's eyes. Now, many noted the irony that it was Kid Rock that was the family-friendly alternative, but he was. The Bad Bunny performance featured homoeroticism and, for those who understood Spanish, sexually charged lyrics. As expressions of worldviews, both the opening ceremonies and the Super Bowl, in distinct ways, demonstrate a reality about the human condition. That God made people to yearn for something larger than themselves. That longing, which can take the form of athletic struggle and triumph, or national pride, or an idealized vision of global harmony, is all embedded in humanity's created nature. As C.S. Lewis observed in Mere Christianity, creatures are not born with desires unless satisfactions for those desires exist. So, if I find in myself a desire which no expression in this world can satisfy, the most probable explanation is that I was made for another world, end quote. So Christians have both an opportunity and a responsibility to respond with courage and clarity, to point people to the true reconciler of their souls, the Prince of True Peace. Only Jesus Christ is able to satisfy that eternity that God has placed inside all of us. For the Colson Center, I'm John Stonestreet with Breakpoint. Today's Breakpoint was co-authored by Andrew Carrico. And for more resources or to download and share this commentary with others, go to colsoncenter.org/radio.
Thank you, John. Outside next, Kevin Williams.
Here is your family life forecast for this afternoon. Sunshine poking through at times across parts of Pennsylvania, mainly cloudy in New York. Precipitation winding down as a little light snow, a little freezing drizzle in the upper part of central New York. And there'll be a couple late-day rain showers with high temperatures in the 30s to near 40. Tonight, mixed rain, ice, snow showers early. Snow showers late, low temps, 20s and low 30s. Tomorrow, Thursday, mainly cloudy with flurries, occasional lake effect snow south of Lake Ontario. High temps tomorrow near 30, in the 20s on Thursday.
All right, Kevin, we'll be above freezing for the first time in about 2 weeks this afternoon, folks. There is a winter weather advisory in effect for those of you off of Lake Ontario and Onondaga, Oneida, and Madison counties. Some of those areas could see another 6 inches of snow by Thursday. This is the Noon Report on Family Life. I'm Bob Price, and a lot to get to Tuesday, February 10th. A landmark trial in L.A. today could reshape social media as we know it. At issue is addictive algorithms that act like digital cocaine to younger users. Reporter Jolyn Kent.
Now, the plaintiff's attorney argues that these companies built machines designed to addict the brains of children, and they did it on purpose.
The lawsuit argues social media is creating addicts in much the same way that big tobacco got users hooked on cigarettes.
They're purposefully sending out and building addictive algorithms to target market kids up to as little as 4 years old on some of these platforms. It's a product design and a product liability case, not a content and not a free speech case.
This case marks the first time big tech has ever faced a jury trial over allegations their social media platforms are harmful to kids. 3 leading social media companies have agreed to be rated on teen safety.
TikTok, Snapchat, and Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, will voluntarily undergo a series of tests by a coalition of advocacy groups. The platforms will be graded on whether they give teens options to turn off endless scrolling or force them to take breaks. Companies that get high safety ratings will receive a Blue Shield badge. Those that don't do well in the test will be labeled as unable to block harmful content. The National Council for Suicide Prevention oversaw the development of the standard.
A second ransom demand for Nancy Guthrie's come and gone with no break in the case. The mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie was abducted from her Arizona home 10 days ago.
We are at an hour of desperation, and we need your help.
A prominent journalist posting a new video last night pleading with the public to be on the lookout for signs of her 84-year-old mom.
Authorities say they still have no suspect or person of interest. The FBI is continuing to evaluate ransom-related communications connected to the case. The family says time is critical because Nancy requires daily medication and has been missing for more than a week.
Correspondent Andres Gutierrez in Tucson today. Fireworks are flying at a House Homeland Security hearing today. The head of ICE, Todd Lyons, testifying under oath about immigration enforcement efforts. At issue is the fatal ICE-involved shootings of 2 protesters last month in Minneapolis. New research in the Journal of the American Medical Association suggests daily consumption of coffee or tea can lower your risk of cognitive decline.
What they found was people who had moderate consumption of caffeinated coffee or tea, so 2 to 3 cups of coffee a day, 1 to 2 cups of tea per day, had a lower risk of dementia, but we cannot say based on this study that this is actually protected.
Dr. Celine Gounder at CBS News. A severe doctor shortage is on the horizon. Experts are predicting a decade from now, there will be 40,000 fewer primary care physicians in this country. Senior citizens will be hurt the most by this, according to the study by Yale University. Another study sheds light on what constitutes a successful relationship between romantic partners. It finds public displays of affection are only part of the equation.
Researchers at Oregon State University say communicating affection is key to a strong relationship, but it's also good for our overall well-being.
Seeing how being kind and close and caring to each other promoted better relationships and mental health and physical health.
That's Colin Hesse, director of OSU's School of Communication. Researchers looked at verbal and nonverbal expressions of affection, but also the indirect ways we communicate love, like like filling up a partner's car with gas without being asked. I'm Monica Nelson.
The U.S. women's hockey team clashing with Canada today in their final preliminary round game at the Winter Olympics. Team USA goalie Gwen Phillips says it's always fun taking on the Canadians.
U.S. and Canada, we both get up for those games, and I think we're gonna bring our all, and they're gonna bring our all, and it's gonna be a really fun matchup.
Team captain Hannah Bilka.
Yeah, excitement's gonna be up, but just trying to stay level and really just play our game and stick to that.
Team USA's 3-0 following Monday's 5-0 victory over Switzerland. The Americans have outscored their first three opponents 15-1. USA looking for a little revenge after losing to Canada in the gold medal game 4 years ago. You're tuned in to the Noon Report for Tuesday on Family Life.
Helping boys become godly young men. Welcome back to another edition of Hometown Heroes on Family Life. I'm Mark Webster, and that's the mission of the Royal Rangers, a longtime ministry of the Assemblies of God Church. This week's guest is Richard Merrill with Royal Rangers Outpost 42 in Batavia, New York. Programs like the Royal Rangers seem to be picking up even more steam now that the traditional Boy Scout program has started to decline. They're lost your gain, I guess.
Yes. I mean, a lot of it is because we're more Christian-based. If a kid does not have a father figure in the home, then we try to step up as Royal Ranger commanders to be that father figure in their life and to support them.
Tell me a little bit more, someone who was not familiar with the Royal Rangers. What's it all about?
Our mission is to reach young men to strive to be like Christ-like men, and that's teaching them the Bible, teaching them how to make decisions on their own, and how to be a leader in society by going camping, fishing, and we have devotions. Every Wednesday night we meet and we have a Bible devotion, and then we do a mentor leadership guide where we teach them how to learn to be leaders.
Mm-hmm. You've been on both sides of this now. You were a ranger as a kid, and then you come back as a mentor, and so you've seen both sides of how important that is.
Yes, very important, because to be honest with you, I lost focus in my Christian walk many years ago, and if it wasn't for the Rangers, I would have struggled to come back to my Christian values, honesty, loyalty, and you do a lot of guidance for kids, and I love kids. I love to work with young kids in high school and through middle school ages. They're very in tune, and they really want to know. They're hungry to know God's word, and they're hungry to be the best that they can be, and I like to be able to help them find that direction.
You brought up that even when you maybe lost your walk a little bit after being a ranger, that brings to mind the scripture of training up a child in the ways of the Lord, and they won't stray from it. So even if they do stray for a while, perhaps like in your case, maybe they'll come back. That seed is there, that base is there, and that's so important, especially with what kids face in today's culture here.
I wouldn't want to be a teenager in this day and age right now.
Yeah.
It is very hard, and it's sad the way our society has changed so much. I've been on here for 52 years, and it's just so amazing on how our country and just the world has changed. It's hard to be a Christian nowadays.
So in your time in helping to mentor these young men, what's the difference you see in them as they start to go through the program?
Oh, man, the changes. There's some that I've seen, including myself, where when I was going through the program, I was kind of leery about it. Like, I don't know if I really want to do this. Mm-hmm. And then once I started getting through it and allowing God to change me is the biggest thing. If you can reach and get the kids to understand who Christ really is and how much he loves them, then you can see a huge difference. Like taking them out camping at first, they're rambunctious. They don't want to really pay attention until you find something that catches their interest. Like I have one young man that loves cooking. So what we do is we try to give him all the opportunity he can to cook meals for us. We just did a learning lesson this past week on sexuality, and I brought up about a water filtration system on how it filters. And I said, now, if you think about it, the Trinity is the same way, God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit. If you start thinking in a dirty way, you can rely on God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit to filter your mind to where you have clean thoughts. Mm-hmm. Some of them caught it right on, and they're like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I'm like, yes. And that's why when you get into that situation where you're watching a movie and something comes up and it's not right, use that water filtration idea, and is this what God really wants me to do? Mm-hmm. And if it's not, then you ask God to filter your mind so you be watching the right movies, the right type of TV, listening to the right music, right, and making sure that you're filtering what you're supposed to do as a Christian and as young men. And a lot of them really caught on to it, and they're like, wow.
Final question. For somebody who's not familiar, thinking about it, what can they expect their young man to take away from being a Royal Ranger?
Oh, honor, self-esteem. They will be able to take away who Jesus Christ is and why he's so important to have in their life, and how to serve Christ as a young adult, and how to make the right decisions, and how to become a leader in society by using that filtration system to be able to filter their minds to where they know and be able to honestly think straight and think clearly and be guided through God's word and how it directs them to live a godly life.
That's Richard Merrill with Royal Rangers Outpost 42 in Batavia, New York, on a mission to help boys and teens become godly young men. Please join us again next time as we search for your home, your town, your hero. It's Hometown Heroes on Family Life.
Thank you very much, Mark Webster. Hometown Heroes comes your way Tuesdays during the Noon Report, or online anytime at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and FamilyLife.org.
Good afternoon. Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. The core of the bitter cold air has left the region. A little clipper passing to the north, drawing milder air into the region. And for the first time in more than 2 weeks, we're going to break the freeze point this afternoon. Although, with that will come some moisture. That will result in a little bit of a mix this evening, and then colder air follows tomorrow. The call for this afternoon, we have a little sunshine poking through at times across parts of Pennsylvania, mainly cloudy in New York. Precipitation winding down as a little light snow, a little freezing drizzle in the upper part of central New York. And there'll be a couple late-day rain showers with high temperatures in the 30s to near 40. Tonight, mixed rain, ice, snow showers early. Snow showers late and low temps, 20s and low 30s. Tomorrow, Thursday, mainly cloudy with flurries, occasional lake effect snow south of Lake Ontario. High temps tomorrow near 30, in the 20s on Thursday.
Great work at the Weather Center. Thank you, Kevin. Finally at noon for the mathematically minded among us. There's something perfect about this month of February, and Bree Tennis says it has nothing to do with Valentine's Day.
This month is under a magic math spell because it starts on a Sunday. That means every day on the calendar is filled and happens exactly 4 times. That's what makes this month perfect. The phenomena can only happen in February on non-leap years, and contrary to the internet, it is not an 823-year event. The Sunday start sequence will happen again in 2037. I'm Bree Tennis.
All right, again, for the mathematically minded among us. Thank you, Bree. And that's our world, the world we live in. Tuesday, February 10th. I'm Bob Price. Family Life News.
You've been listening to the Noon Report, heard weekdays on Family Life. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.